Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to HMP. Get your red sash on because today we're reviewing Shin Kamen Rider from 2023. I am your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he's a glum chum whose only hobby is motorcycles. Well, at least in his younger days, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, but when I fight evil aliens, are they aliens? I don't know what they are, but I know that I'm a katydid.
Yeah, I'm not sure what any of these things are. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Shin Kamen Rider, a.k.a. Shin Masked Rider, from 2023. I knew nothing about this movie going. Oh, by the way, Sean's just on a little assignment right now. He shall be back. We miss you, Sean. But yeah, we're talking this movie. I had no clue about it. I think I was flipping through Prime Video and just going like, what can we watch? What new crazy weird thing? I think I saw 5 seconds of this trailer and I was like, nope, that's an HMP movie right there. We are absolutely watching that because it just seemed like crazy insect man riding a motorcycle. And I'm like, done and done.
I know there was a Shin Godzilla. I think everybody kind of heard about that. Got a lot of buzz at this new Shin universe.
I saw the Shin Godzilla on the big screen, and it was an absolute and utter delight, especially once that like weird like larvae thing was like going down the street with his big googly eyes. Like everyone in the theater you could feel was like weirdly uncomfortable. They're like, what's going on here? This is just why does this strange creature have googly eyes?
And I feel like there might have been a Shin Ultraman. Either has been or will be a Shin Ultraman.
I think so. That sounds familiar.
I haven't seen that either, but I'm kind of hoping that they're leading towards some Shin universe crossover.
Listen, you know that's their Marvel as to what I'm to understand.
Yeah, Toei's Marvel or Tohei. Anyway,
Tohei. Yeah,
but I knew a little bit about Kamen Rider. Just very little. Like I knew what the masks look like. You know, these bughead people on motorcycles. I watched a little bit of the tokusatsu on Shout Factory's website a couple times, but I mean, I knew nothing about the story, the lore. I had no idea what to expect going into this.
Yeah, so we'll get into all of that, of course. But of course, if you need to, man, we really would love the people that go over there to patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. Bruce and I on the Dinger Zone this week talk about the future of media. And where we think things are going, and honestly, it was a much more interesting conversation than I thought we were going to get going and everything. And I think
spoiler alert: the future is oil paintings.
Yeah, it's all oil paintings, and it's slow moving, but very
you haven't seen
deep
animation. You've watched a 3.5 hour oil painting.
Getting it dry. But again, thank you people who support us over at patreon.com/HMP. You folks are really, really appreciated. And if you can't do that, for heaven's sake, why don't you jump over there to the iTunes and give us a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger?
We've got a new one.
Is it a humdinger?
It is 5 stars. It's entitled, You Are Your, this is all caps, Your Mom.
Hey, Mom.
You are Mom. 5 stars. It comes to us from Big Butt Battle Royale.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not sure what to make of this because there's like an asterisk or a parenthetical kind of thing.
First off, I want to pause, and I could swear we've had a review from Big Butt Battle Royale before.
We have, but like sometimes when you read, if you change your stuff up, all of a sudden it will republish and kind of put it at the top, and I'm pretty sure that's what the case is here. This one just now, whatever Big Butt Battle Royale had previously written is now gone. Now it's Your Mom, still 5 stars, which very appreciative of. It just now has cheeseburger replaced there.
Thank you, Big Butt.
Just the
Battle
word
Royale.
Cheeseburger. There's asterisk, cheeseburger, asterisk. I don't know.
Well, good.
Just going like, hey, there's a cheeseburger that's placement right there, and you know what? Here at HMP, we love cheeseburgers. Doggone it.
I just had 2 gas station cheeseburgers to eat today.
You're eating gas station cheeseburgers?
Yeah, gas station's close to home.
It is okay. All right. Okay. Listen. Choose your next words very, very carefully. Was it at least a QT?
No.
Oh my God. What are you eating? What do you like? It's not like this. This isn't like Atlanta where you can go and get like a gas station fried chicken, which is fantastic. Where are you getting gas station hamburgers?
at the same speedway where I go get my like chicken biscuits for breakfast sometimes.
Oh my Lord, God, put your prayers up for Bruce, everybody. we want to
If you
make
want sushi, you have to go to Sheets.
I'm getting that sheet sushi, boy. You know when it's good stuff. So again, thank you to people that support us over at Patreon and the IMDb's and I'm skipping ahead. The iTunes. Let's get into the IMDb plot line for Shin. How am I saying it right? Kamen?
I say common,
Common?
but I'm probably wrong.
I don't
Like
know.
ramen, I think it's like ramen with a K. Common.
All right.
How do you say ramen noodles? Do you say ramen or ramen?
I'm a ramen noodle.
So I'm common because it's spelled like ramen.
Ramen noodles are like this. Ramen, give me the noodles. I know two people are happy I did that, and I know one who's really pissed. Here was the here's. I'm gonna just call him.
First off, did people get my impression? I say I don't do impressions. So that was pretty good.
solid stuff. Sean's already turned it off this week. He's just like, I'm done. This is what these jerkwads do when I'm out of the room. I don't think so. We're going to call it Shin Masked Rider just so we don't screw anything up from this point on. Here's the IMDb plotline. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Dang it. I skipped a step here, Bruce. I apologize. We're going to go back to that.
The plot line is cheeseburger.
No. I forgot. We got to go over the Patreon vote. I apologize.
Oh, let's do this. I was going to ask you about that at the end of the episode.
No, let's do it at the top because I'd forgotten about this, and I don't want to leave it out here. So last week we went over the plans for HMP for the next little foreseeable future here. Our Patreon supporters, not only do they get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, they also get to vote on what we watch. And this time we're saying, here's what we're going to do. We're theming an entire month. So you guys are going to vote, and what you vote is what next month's theme will actually be. And here are the breakdowns of what we got voting. Coming in at the bottom so far in the number with 7% is the category I've called the Charles Band of Bummers.
Nice.
Charles is in parentheticals there, so it's the Band of Bummers.
Yes.
So there we go. I like that one. That one's coming in at a hot 7%. Coming in at 3rd% here is the Killer Kaiju one.
Oh, I kind of thought that would have a stronger showing.
Looking pretty good. But above that, we got Once Bitten. That's our werewolves one. So we're looking at 26% there. Looking good.
That would, guys, I'm not going to lie. I want to win every month. So let me just put that out there.
Number one, though, is at this point with 48% is Sean Likes Spaceships. Let's go to the comments and see what we've got. All right. We got Brian Z comes in and says, I too like spaceship. Tim concurs and says, I 3 like spaceships. King Solomon's Frog chimes in, and he says something I think is pretty smart. I feel like kaiju are historically underserved population on HMP, and Adam makes sneaky good choices. We've already had a backdoor Sean Loves Spaceships month in June. I'm afraid if we choose Bruce's pick werewolves, he'll disappear for a month. Zing.
You know what? Valid reasoning.
And I can't handle a month of Charles Band. Our buddy John Bajuicy says, I love Spaceship. I'd also love to hear a Serenity review, and Tim's second in that one.
Nice. I like Serenity.
Matthew Vandiver said, can Charles Band movies be from any era of his career, and
Yes.
what is the minimal credit needs to have on the movie? I'd love to see it covered bad Charles Band and Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, completing the full Ford Moon saga. We may have to do that at some point regardless.
Sure.
I would also love it if you covered Zone Troopers, 1985 from Empire Pictures, executive producer Charles Band, the WW2 American Soldiers and Aliens versus Nazi movie. There's also Arena, 1989, Empire Pictures, exclusive executive producer Charles Band, the Human versus the Aliens boxing movie. That's also a Mystery Science Theater 3000 selection Arena.
Oh, I have heard good things about Arena, but I've never seen it. And the good things are awful things, but like awful in a good way.
Which, by the way, then Tim responds to Matt's like little saga there that I just read. He said, "That's an awful lot to give Adam to read, Matthew."
Oh man.
To which Matthew goes, LOL, true. How dare both of you? How dare both of you? Marty
Well,
says spaceships all day. Go Sean. So here's the thing, kids. Like I said, these are the votes right now. We got I think probably about half of the people that support us have voted at this point, and we want more votes in there. So if you want your vote heard, patreon.com/HMP. I wanted to get that in because I would have forgotten otherwise.
Maybe they're saving my pick for October.
Yeah, and here's the thing: we can, as we've done with Patreon stuff in the past, we have perennial all stars that we bring back from time to time. What was some of the Two Guns? Two Guns never got selected for a choice. It was like, yeah, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Oh, bridesmaids. That could be a category.
We could do bridesmaids. Here's the IMDb plot line for Shin Masked Rider. As we all know, IMDb 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Hongo Takashi awakens to discover he has been transformed into a grasshopper hybrid cyborg. Oh, that old story. Becoming the Masked Rider, he must fight the mysterious evil organization Shocker to protect all of mankind. This is written by, I'm going to try my best, Hideaki Anno and Shitaro Ishinomori. Oh, that's there we go.
Perfect. Yeah.
Also directed by him, who he did Shin Godzilla, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and the writer, he also did a lot of Power Ranger stuff and a lot of Kamen Rider back in the day and whatnot.
I was wondering if he did Power Ranger stuff or if he did like the Super Sentai and they just kind of took it and used it in Power Rangers, so he got that credit.
No, he got I don't really know. I didn't do too much research, but he's one of those guys that what's IMDb? Let me read what they wrote about him because his little thing here is he was born on January 25th, 1938 in Toma, Japan. Blah, blah, blah. As one of the most prolific comic artists in history, his work encompasses over 770 titles, exceeding 128,000 pages.
Now, I didn't even know this guy was a mangaka.
Yeah.
Wow, he's a busy man.
He did some stuff like little things like Astro
what's our
Boy.
Excuse, Adam? What's our excuse? We have not drawn a single page of manga today.
Not today, not today, manga. I'll tell you that. I knew nothing about this going in, but so let me sell everybody on this bad boy because this live action anime, because let's be frank, that's what this thing is. This sucker's got everything. We start out, we got a mid-speed motorcycle chase. Flesh mask cops, I don't know what this movie is. We got big head guy, Bug Boy. Aw, Bug Boy, how cute is that? Wait a minute, he's doing what now? Exploding body after body with punches so bloody, it'll make you, just make your mom want to turn it off before the title card hits? Yeah, that's the movie we got right here. We got an origin story that takes 5 seconds and you're really happy about it. Bugs. We got disintegrating bodies, showdown at the dam, Batman, not that one, just a dude wearing a bat. I don't know what it is really. We got multiple air drop kicks, motorcycle mayhem, scorpion lady, super ecstasy was one of her favorite quotes for me. The Wasp, not that Wasp. A good old fashioned sword fight, an anime sword fight. Light up thrones, a bug bike chase. One of my favorite quotes of this one. Actually, this was a thought that I had doing it. I should have written this out better. While they were making this, they thought, we don't have the budget to destroy the city, so we're only going to fight in the air, okay? That's essentially what they did say in this movie.
Yeah, but you got to admit, it's kind of silly fun.
It's smart, though. Invisibility cloak, motorcycle tunnel chase, blue beam to the sky, ballerina fighting, scarf wearing, head stomping, sky kicking, eye gouging. This movie's got everything.
It does indeed. It does indeed.
It takes a while to get there, too.
Adam,
yes.
I'm just going to go ahead and just to be frank before we get started here.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what was going on in this movie.
It's a tough one. There's a lot of layers.
I think it's a complicated lore if you're not already familiar. Kamen Rider's been around since the 80s, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you look at the writer and all of the things that they've been doing and you go, oh, this is not just something that is, out of whole cloth for this.
It's like if you go watch the Gilligan's Island movie and you're like, why are they all on this island? Why don't they just go home?
Yeah, I don't
You know what I mean? You got to have a little understanding going into it. But also subtitles only. Like that's the only option I had. Did you have an option other than subtitles?
No, subs only. Dub would have been helpful, I think, for this.
Yes, because didn't always pass the phone test. So once you're down at the phone for a while, man, you don't realize how much how many lines you're missing. Then you look up there and you're like, what are these people? Are they
You got to be
aliens? Are they
careful.
ghosts? Yeah.
That's the thing with this is you got to be careful because the thing with this movie is it goes from holy crap, I can't take my eyes off this to immediately to I'm bored to tears.
It is definitely one that makes great clips to
Yeah.
put up on YouTube, or like it's a fun one if I was having people over and we're playing D&D, or people over playing board games or something. So we're not watching the movie. In fact, we're probably playing music, but I put something on just to have some visuals.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing I like up there so people can point and laugh whenever something cool happens. It's like, oh, look at that, but you're not trying at all. The subtitles are on, so you can always read it if you really want to know, but it's the kind of thing that I think makes for good atmosphere.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to it. I think the biggest problem though really comes down to it, and listen, it's the thing for the 21st century. The runtime's too long. This is a little over 2 hours long. This thing should be
Also,
90 minutes.
I think Japanese cinema has always tended to run a little longer than U.S. cinema. Now,
Yeah.
don't quote me on that because I also once said that leopards don't live in India.
We know how you've proven wrong you've been on that one. India has come through and said, you, sir, could not be more incorrect.
For the record, what is our most viewed YouTube video? Is it the one where I said leopards don't live in India?
It may be.
It's not.
No, I think it's Super Lopez.
Okay, good, because if with my luck, that'd be the one.
Now, granted, all the Super Lopez's are complaining that it's not Super Lopez the movie and it's our dumb whitey take on it, but but the people that have stuck around and listened to that episode, they've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
they like that we liked it, and I'm like, thank you, person who actually took the time instead of just going, this isn't the movie I wanted.
With that many views, even if you're only shooting like 1%, making it to the end, that's still 10,000 people. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Now, if only it had been monetizable.
Enough patting ourselves on the back about Super Lopez.
About a podcast we did 3 years ago.
So how do we tackle talking about this? Because I don't think there's any point in us trying to discuss this plot at all. Like I don't think there's much for us to say about the intricacies of the plot in either a good or bad way. I feel like it's more like stuff happened over a period of time for me more than dots were being connected.
Yeah, it kind of reads tone pomey in a way where it's just here's the vibe and stuff that we're going for, and like you said, it's I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of do this analogy. If you didn't have the subtitles, if it's because it is a foreign language film, I don't know how much you would lose if you didn't have any of those and you just had to kind of infer from what you were, watching and how it was being presented to you. I don't know that it would be my interpretation would be too far off.
I would say that the things you're going to enjoy knowing the words that are being said and the things you're going to enjoy not knowing the words that are said are going to be about the same. Like the cool costumes, they got Power Rangers type costumes that
very cool looking, very interesting, neat designs. Like the half chameleon thing one was really cool looking.
I've always been suspicious that the original Kamen Rider creator was a fan of the Metaluna mutants from This Island Earth. Do you get that reference, Adam?
Not particularly.
Oh man,
I know the title
thing, and the Metaluna mutant kind of looks like an insect, so that's kind of what I think of when I see these Kamen Rider things.
Yeah, I thought they were. I like how everybody has their own pretty unique and interesting design. Like I love the big spider head kind of guy. He looked really cool.
Yeah, everybody gets their own insect, which is cool, but not how insects work,
What are you talking about? You don't mean that's
you need to have at least two of the same kind to ever have a third one. Isn't that how insects work? I lose track sometimes. Well,
there's probably a couple that I don't know how science works. I don't know enough about bugs. I was gonna make some real hey, and there a bug that does this thing, and you realize right there you're like, I don't know anything of what I'm talking about. So maybe you should just try to make analogies where you don't know the other half of them. But the thing is like I think you're right though that you would do well to have some prior knowledge because they throw you in whole hog, but like at the same time too, I don't know that you need too awful much background, and we try to do a little bit with characters, but to me, anytime that we try to jump into any sort of character work, that's when you just got bored.
Yeah.
because they're like,
Yeah, I
oh,
think you're
here's this
that
person and their relationship with her brother and all this other stuff. You
see,
just don't
that's when
care.
I just didn't care, but it probably means something. Like these characters are probably people with, once again, we're watching the Sex and the City movie, but we don't know who Mr. Big is.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of the situation we're in here, I think. But still, they do enough there, like I said, with the visuals. And in addition to the visuals, this thing looks beautiful to me. You have a more discriminating eye for cinematography than I do, but compared to some of the other Japanese live action stuff I've watched, this one really looked good, particularly like well lit.
Yeah, it's well done. It's maybe not amazing, but better
Once
than kind
again,
of your
it's
average sort of thing.
yeah, it's relative compared to the last like compared to the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood live action movies that I recently watched. I think this looks a lot better.
Yeah, there are moments where you'll kind of go like, "Oh, this is very Power Rangers," and other moments where it's kind of like, you know, this ain't
This
half
is like
bad.
this is like the biggest budget Power Rangers before it gets too big budget. You know what I mean? Like the US made ones kind of cross over, like that one that we reviewed for the show that
Yeah.
I don't know, about 2014 or something. But anyway, that one just crossed over too much. It became just a little too westernized, So this is like the biggest budget you can get before you lose the appeal.
Yeah, exactly. If you need your budget to go bigger than this, you're going to need to have some sort of foothold in the West where this can help generate a little bit more money to justify that extra coinage.
Yeah.
And
It
they
becomes
and
like one of those.
that ain't this thing for America. I think most America watches this and goes, this Black Manta looks pretty crap.
Yeah, I don't see this finding an audience other than the people who are already just fans of Japanese IP. I don't think this is gonna pick up a slew of new fans the way that an anime could.
No, there's definitely no, like you said, there's a ton of this stuff out there for this kind of writer series and everything. But we don't know it. And we get to that point where we're like, okay, I mean, I guess I can kind of grasp along, but at the same time too, it does feel like a lot of those holes are still empty. Well, I don't know where any of these things go. I just know that I'm around for the ride with this thing. And like, for example, and again, this is going to be a spoiler for the whole thing and stuff, but it's not that big of a spoiler, I guess. But the guy who's set up as our writer here and everything, by the end of the movie, ain't the writer anymore. We've already passed it off like,
Yeah,
like we're going
which
on to another person already. And I'm like,
that may have been the whole point of this. Like once again, if we understood this better, we may have known from the manga that this is Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. Like we
yeah.
may have known that this is an established storyline or something. Once again, I always have to say I don't know how much of the point of being an outsider is you don't really know how outside you are. Also, I'm not like a massive tokusatsu fan. Like I just like the suits and the monsters and the fights, but I never really like care that much about the lore or watching a series beginning to end. So I don't know if like somebody who self-identifies as a hardcore tokusatsu fan, if they're going to think this movie's great or if they're going to think it's already too shiny and lost the magic. I don't know the answer to some of that. I guess in some ways we can give a great outsider's opinion, but we are just letting you know we're not giving a definitive opinion here.
Yeah. I mean, I liked how it started off with just like him, that kind of born identity. I don't know how I'm doing all of these things, but I am just beating the ever living snot out of
And
everyone, and their heads
that's
just
always
explode in a
fun.
bloody pulp. It's wild.
That's always fun. And when I was watching that and I was noticing the bug theme, I was wondering if you intentionally were like trying to roll us into Blue Beetle here, because I think this is in some ways like a Japanese Blue Beetle. I think it's going to be real interesting next week after we see Blue Beetle
Holy
to actually
crap.
talk more about this show then than we are now.
That's
Because as a
interesting.
person who knows a little bit about the Blue Beetle comics, particularly the third, is he third? Yeah, third, fourth Blue Beetle, whatever, Jamie Reyes.
Yeah.
I know that his story is a lot like the story we got here for Kamen Rider. That the source is a supernatural type source and all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious to see how much we have to talk about this movie next week. Maybe more to say about it then than we do this week.
Yeah, because at least with this, like it seems like they're going for broke. Like they may not have the biggest budget in the world. They may not have, the best of everything.
But it
But
looks like this might have been one of the biggest live action budgets in Japan that year. It really looks like it could have been to me.
Well, let's see if the old IMDb's has any plot wise here. It only made 15 million worldwide, so it did not make any money. So my guess is they have no budget.
Yeah.
So we don't no idea. So then that's one of those things with these types of programs. There's so many times where you're just like, that either cost a bajillion dollars or $5, and I'm not sure which.
Yeah, there's like no such thing as a union made film in Japan either.
No middle level kind of thing.
Like the Japanese companies even refuse to hire SAG-AFTRA voice actors to do the English VO.
We don't
Like
need
that's
those
a big
suckers.
controversy, is like you can't be in SAG and do VO for anime. So it's kind of weird.
So what did you think about like the just general action itself? Because I guess that's probably one of our big
Yeah, it's tokusatsu action, so if you know that it's Power Rangers, action turned up just a little bit. I mean, especially we get some of that floating in the air and fighting with each other. That could be straight from 1970 something. That could be from an old Hong Kong kung fu cinema too.
One of the nice things though is that at least with this, there's some good sound going on. So at least it brings a little effort. It feels like, it makes it seem a lot more big, a lot more epic than they are. And there are some spots and everything where you look and you're like, oh, this looks fantastic. And then there's other stuff where you're seeing driving and you're like, you're going so slow. Why are you going so slow?
I like the idea of transformation. I like the idea of like the giant mode. I like tokusatsu to have a bit more of a power up whenever you're going into the main fight. So I don't know if I like the action system, so to speak, here. All the anime and tokusatsu have their own action systems, and this one, it's about the prana inside your body, but they don't like start glowing and go into the giant mode, and they don't go together and form a megazord like they would in Power Rangers. So I feel like it's missing that one tokusatsu element, but that might be what makes this beloved to the fans, is that it's a more serious tokusatsu that doesn't do that or something. I'm just speculating, but
yeah, I would have liked.
I could have used a little more spectacle in terms of, let's change the scale and the size a little bit. Give me something silly, a guy in a rubber suit, turn one of them into an actual insect monster instead. They hinted at it like with the praying mantis guy that unzipped his arm and he had a little mantis arm under there. I would have liked to see full-on humanoid insect versus Kamen Rider battle at some point.
They needed to lean more into stuff like that, where it's just like you've got this weird, alternate power set where people's like arms are coming out of zippered pockets on their bodies and stuff. It's like that kind of weird stuff. You need more and more and more of that. Yes, or even within the guy
stuff.
With the guy itself and everything, you could have leaned into some David Cronenberg body horror stuff that like really would have been cool.
The big bad guy that turns into, quote, a butterfly at the end when he said he's getting ready to transform and it looked like his face was going to split.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to have a full-on Jeff Goldblum, the Fly transformation, and I was getting so excited. And then he just got like some face paint and put on armor just like the other guys.
It never quite gets there. And you're like, oh, I too have this, polycarbonate
I can't decide if I love it or hate it. But the helmets are just a little too big. Like, they're not so big that you're like, okay, they are obviously going for a look here, but they're also just a little too big.
It's not Black Mantis big, but it is big enough to where you're just like, is that a toddler?
Yeah.
Is there a small little kid in there with a giant head?
That big helmet there.
Just falling over. That would be I'd love to see that too, where characters just have too big of a helmet and they're kind of listed to one side. I'm just trying to.
Here's the weakness is put things below their knees. They can't look down, or they'll fall forward.
I get one of those neck things where they like put the things in your head and it rests on your shoulder.
10 of them come running at you, and you just point down and go, "Your shoes are untied." They all look down, fall forward, and you get away.
This movie's over in 15 minutes.
Foiled by my evil plan, Kamen Rider.
They had a lot of, like, I think you were right, like a lot of the cinematography is really cool. They do a ton of just really wide angle stuff in almost first person-y kind of things here and there, which I thought was really interesting and neat looking and was different for this show, which I liked. And just like, oh wow, we're in something that's quite different now.
And also, something I admire about Japanese cinema or Japanese action cinema, if you will, is if it's a cartoon or comic book character or even a cartoonish or comic bookish character, they're not afraid to just go for it either, though. I mean, like the fights and the jumps and the powers and stuff. It's not like you know how, especially after the Dark Knight, everything had to be an ultra realistic take on a totally unrealistic topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it that Japan never went that route. They've always embraced the cartoonishness of their characters. And
Yeah,
this movie certainly continues that tradition.
and I wonder where that's going for us, is like just as comic book movies and stuff go themselves, because you had that whole the DC camp being all the super serious, Marvel being funny, but then again, Marvel also at the same time too maybe needs to bring some more seriousness back into it. Like I'm not even sure that we know
And
what
then
we want to be anymore.
DC always had the separate CW thing going on where they were like trying to be lighthearted and funny, but their jokes just didn't hit, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's humor to this as well that we're missing? Maybe, I don't know.
Oh boy. I don't think so.
I don't either,
really
and that's
don't
like
think. I
I'm
think
like,
this is like saying, is there? No, man. There's even humor in Fury Road. Like this is no. There's no room. Like there's no room to confuse people about your genre when you're making this movie. Like if this were a comedy, it would be. Thank you. What was that one about the cigarette powered people? Smoking causes coughing.
thank you for. Oh yeah. Smoking causes coughing.
I want to call it "Thank You for Smoking." That's a totally different movie.
Very
I prefer
different
Smoking
movie.
Causes coughing. I think.
We can put that in like Smoking Aces in there. You got a wild triple
But like
feature on your hand.
Tokusatsu is so close to self parody just existing that they have to play it straight. You know what I mean? There's no. I don't think you get much humor in Japanese Tokusatsu because it's just living too close to the edge of self parody as it is.
Yeah, it's one of those like, if we do this, isn't that really just taking it out of what we're doing here in and of itself? And you're like, that's a good point. Let's pump the brakes on that one a little bit. Uh the special effects, pretty like for this type of thing, and like I said, I imagine it's a decent budget, especially after from the guy that directed Shin Godzilla and stuff like that. It still looks pretty good, but there's always those tiny little moments where you're just like, oh, wow, that stinks.
And I'll tell you though that those tiny little moments. Here's how I put it out there to you. You can get something with those tiny little moments. Like you can get a guy out there freelancing who's good with digital effects. Give him $10,000 and he'll do some amazing stuff. But it's not going to look like somebody who did the same thing for a contract that was worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem is those are the only two choices you kind of have right now. It's 10,000 or less or $1 million or more. So if you can't really budget the full $1 million, it's amazing what they get for their 10,000. And that's why you're saying this movie didn't make money, but it would surprise me if it cost more than 8 million to make.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
because they really stretch their dollars in Japan, man. I don't know how they do it, but when you look at the budgets on stuff,
slave labor. There's probably a little truth to that. But like you have an interesting scene, like again, which I thought was such a clever way to do this. Listen, we can't pay anybody to destroy this city and have all this stuff in here. That's way too much CGI budget. We cannot do it. Here's the thing. We're going to have our two guys just go, listen, it would be right to everybody if we were in here smashing up this town. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be flying in the air and we're going to fight in the air and fight in the air only. And then they do. And it's something about that's actually kind of great. It makes you also look at that, Snyder Superman and just go like, what the hell?
And this evil organization they're fighting, it's called Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Are they aliens? Are they just monsters? Are they from another dimension? I never quite figured out what Shocker was, but I did like the way the guy stood up from his throne and had like spider webs going to his back, and then he walked away and they just sort of gently dissolved in the air.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool looking.
Were they aliens? What is Shocker?
I thought Shocker was kind of like Alien Shield, because it's all spelled with all capital letters. So that's what makes me feel like it's kind of like Shield or Sword.
Yeah, and I didn't know if they're fighting aliens or products of science or mutations or what they're fighting.
Yes, I think that's the answer.
Good. I'm glad you're not just calling me a dum-dum and saying obviously.
No, did you see the underlying
obviously
tone?
Atlanteans if you paid attention.
But at the same time, too, like while they have all that stuff, they're flying through the air and all this kind of good stuff. Then their final battle sequence is done on the set with just this black cyclorama all the way around. It's so cheap and crummy, and you get to the point within that last final fight or so, and maybe there's another one that's like this as well, where the fight is going on way too long, and all of a sudden it's like I'm just watching people in like pleather pants just kind of punch each other, and like that. God, it's not
Yeah,
great. You're
yeah.
not cutting enough here, and it just looks like two guys that are slightly out of shape, just kind of play
Well,
fighting with each other a little bit. Kind of like lame.
part of the appeal of tokusatsu is once they put the helmets on, they get the best stage fighters they can to do the battle scenes. You know, it's like the same five guys do all the tokusatsu fights.
Yeah, it feels like that those guys were
So it's
sick that
definitely
day.
not like there's nobody out there that could do better because it's always the same people doing it, I think.
I don't know. It was just there were so many times where I'm just like, you could cut now, cut now, cut now. Why are we still on this shot? I'm looking at this guy's butt, and he's just kind of like side walking to the side. It's no good.
I'd like to see the behind the scenes where the stunt guy who's in the big costume runs off over to the director to look at the dailies there or whatever, the little screen to see how it looked, pulls off his helmet, and it's Jason Statham, and this is what he does to make a little extra money on the weekend.
Oi, why my butt look all like crap in that bin pants? Give me another pair of pants, or I ain't going back onto the. That's a great Jason Statham.
It's Melissa McCarthy, and they're a team now.
Listen, I would rather watch that movie. I would watch that.
I like that spy movie they made.
That was fun. That was a fun little stupid film that was just like, but you know, they had fun with it. There was no fun being had on this movie.
I feel like we're not doing a good service to people who really wanted to hear us talk about Shin Kamen Rider, because I don't think we know the property well enough to have a lot of constructive things to say. Did we sell our listeners short by covering this, or do we have more like interesting insights here?
There's not a ton, but like let's talk about a couple of the like. I like your motorcycle guy. What do you think of all these motorcycles?
Oh, that was a lot of fun, especially when like 8 pipes start shooting jets of flame out and they're flying through the air. That was cool. No. I love that. That's the kind of thing like I just want to have a just frame picture of that with no explanation.
There needed to be more of that. There needed to be more motorcycles
ridiculous
transforming into giant things that then fly through the sky and shoot crap. Like we needed more stupid crap like that. Now, again, I think that costs money.
I needed a like a power sword, or I needed some kind of superpower just thrown in a little bit.
You're right. No, we never had that kind of like that Voltron moment, that Power Rangers moment.
And like we would hear, oh, you're running out of prana. You didn't store enough prana. Like this, they're powered by something called prana, but I couldn't see that the prana did anything other than just like energy. It's like I'm tired instead of saying
it felt like it felt like your chi or your hit points or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
it's more like mana to me, like mana if you're playing
Magic's Gathering. Yeah, it's like mana's all tapped out, can't do nothing right here. And they say, oh yeah, well I tell you what, let's put a graphics GPU there right on your belt.
I love it, the fan and everything.
They put the little graphics fan on your belt, and you're gonna be like,
it's like from one of those units they put together and put for sale on Amazon, so your mom will think it's a legit gaming computer because it looks rad, but it's really junk. You know, it's like one of those.
Get yourself a Voodoo 2 and smash that bad boy on there. But I don't know. I like the stupid belt. None of the stuff made sense to me, but it was fun.
I like.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't give the best version of me to watching this because I did not pay attention to the subtitles. In a lot of movies that we watch, I watch a lot of anime. Anime is not easy to follow, but I can usually like handle up and down with the subtitles and not get too lost. But this one I just really did.
Well, and the girl who's doing a lot of the kind of exposition drops and stuff like that, she's not over, like her readings just aren't overly wild. They're very kind of sedate and straightforward and stuff. And after you've seen like literal dudes' heads be like eviscerated and just like disintegrated with punches, you're bored. You don't want to hear them talk about like, well, my brother was once the blah blah blah.
I do like that when people die, they turn into cotton balls.
That's a really cool effect. I like that. So when someone dies, their body just kind of gets like a looks like
Like a silk cocoon around it.
yeah, and then it disintegrates and everything, and there's like a wet pool there, kind of like makes them look like a snow
Yeah.
cone, and
It's
then they
just an
just
interesting
melt.
way to deal with it, because I always like that when people come up with interesting touches, visual cues to let you
Yeah,
know
and
what you're watching.
especially in a show that clearly is not afraid to show blood. Like
Uh-huh.
they're not shy about that at all. So but instead of like, having these bodies, explode into giant pools of blood or anything, they just kind of cast over in this weird, white foamy sheen and then just kind of dissipate and melt away. I thought that was kind of really neat.
Do you have any kind of like gauge or any idea on just how popular Common Rider is?
No clue. Like I said, I mean, when I think when I looked up the guy's name to be like, okay, what are these dudes previously done before? And I saw that there were 8 billion Common Rider things. I was just like, oh, okay. So this is not just
Yeah,
a new horse crap we just made up.
because Shin Godzilla and Shin Ultraman, those two, like, man, those have reach. They have name recognition that's pretty darn close. Like Godzilla Universal, Ultraman, of course,
Yeah, I
not
mean,
Godzilla, but
Shin
close.
Godzilla had a release in the United States that I went to saw on like an IMAX screen. So
So I'm just kind of wondering if, in terms of popularity, if Kamen Rider might not be the most popular tokusatsu other than Ultraman, which has that nostalgic value, the history.
yeah,
So
especially with here, we've at
so
least got a
quote
history with
modern
it.
tokusatsu. I just wonder if Kamen Rider is the most popular modern tokusatsu. I would have thought it would still be like Super Sentai or something. But what do I know?
You know what? I got to admit, Bruce, this is a point where I am now thinking back upon the history of this program, and we've had listeners from everywhere, from England, Philippines, you name it, like Australia, all you guys. I can't remember the last time, or if at all, we've had any actual Japanese correspondence within HMP.
I can't remember any either.
I don't. So, if you're out there, you got a little info on here,
I've had
moviepodcast at gmail.com.
I've had quite a bit on YouTube, but none on the old
It's
podcast
strange.
stuff.
I don't
So
know. Like I never really thought about it, but I'm like, you know what? We've never we've had a little bit of everybody from everywhere, but not from Japan. I'm sure, or at least
it's
contact.
because
I'm
we
sure
don't
we've had
cover enough.
downloads.
We don't cover enough Common Rider. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, dear HMP, I've waited for 8 years for you so and so's to do anything
Turns out,
Common
like,
Rider.
Common Rider is the Japanese MASH. Like I don't know. It's the Japanese, the most beloved drama. It's the Gunsmoke of Japan. It's been on forever.
I remember when Grandpa used to come home and watch Common Rider every day on the radio.
He'd make Granny dress up like the female agent. It was kind of awkward.
The bug suits for Halloween were always a hit. Always a hit. You put little cards in your spokes there and everything and pretend like you've got a bunch of
Speaking
pipes
of
sticking out the
bugs,
back.
rest in peace, Del Gribble.
Oh man, what a great loss. Old Johnny Hardwick there. One of my favorite Daryl Gribble quote of all time is the guns don't kill people, the government does.
My
Like,
favorite
correct.
is, I can show you how to make a bomb with nothing but toilet paper and a stick of dynamite. That was my favorite.
Good old Dale. Listen, I'm not sure how much else we have to say on this. So before we get to our final review, we got to
Wait. Let me set this up.
Oh, please.
So how
Oh,
could this Japanese tokusatsu movie connect 1-to-1 to one Silvestro Stallone?
good Italian there, Bruce. And it's a good thing I have a slightly prepared statement.
Oh,
Hello there, Mr. Stallone. You remember last week when I said that I forgot to write a Stallone connection this week? Well, guess what? No, I didn't just give up and cry. I actually tried this week. Well, kinda. You see, Mr. Stallone, this movie takes place in Japan, mostly with young Japanese people. Now, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to work with the man who would easily make Arnold his biatch, but sure enough, you haven't done a whole lot with exclusively Japanese-speaking cast and crew. No matter how much Nancy Drew and I did all over the internet, I could not get me a one-to-one with the cast or crew, but I've got to come up with something. So, that or Sean's going to beat me. So, and he doesn't beat you so you can find a bruise, by the way. He's too smart for that. Don't let him fool you.
He does the old trick from grifters.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Stallone, while you may not have been in a lot of features with full speaking Japanese cast and crew, but you know what? I know what you have done with full Japanese cast and crew. Commercials. That's right. Kind of like a lot of the dirty Hollywood types. You, too, have spread your golden wings across to other lands on the oceans, hawking their crummy wares just to net yourself a little extra 8-ball of Coke, mid-level lady who does the stuff, or a Honda Civic. I don't know what Hollywood people do.
Honda Civics all around.
Take a quick trip down YouTube lane and you'll find a plethora of Stallone commercials from overseas. He's hawking everything from ham for Christmas, from what looks like hot dogs in a bag.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Stallone has been selling sausages for years in Japan.
Sausage fest.
Which brings me to ask, why not here? Who the hell is Jimmy Dean?
Stallone sausage.
Who's Jimmy Dean? Kids today, they got no clue. But you know what? You could be damn sure everyone would be eating a Stallone sausage if and they had the chance.
Ramboloni. I would eat Ramboloni.
You got that right. So there it is, everybody. Yet another Stallone connection in the books. Did I knock it out of the park? I don't think so. Nope. We're going to try yet again next
my
week.
My mom will grill.
Oh, God almighty. We have to stop before the show catches on fire. I'll do better next week, Mr. Stallone. Your pal, Sweet Adam from the internet. Jerk Adam from the internet. That's right. I forgot. Forgot I had a different mock here on my hands here. All right. So here at Here Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. Bruce, where does Shin Kamen Rider, a.k.a. Shin Masked Rider from 2003, fall on the Robin rating system for you?
It's tough. It's tough because it has value because it's interesting, but not too interesting. Because like I said, if we're playing board games or D&D and the movie that's on over my shoulder is too interesting, people are going to lose focus on the game. But if it's not interesting at all, what's the point of even having it on? So this is like the perfect level of just interesting enough to fill the quiet moments, but it's not going to distract you from anything else you need to do.
Yeah.
So because of that, I guess Damian Wayne, like it doesn't offend me in any way. Damian Wayne, I guess.
Yeah, it
looks pretty to me. It does look pretty.
No, it's good looking. There's enough to recommend it, but there's also plenty to just say, yeah, you're going to pump the brakes on this. Because while there's enough good stuff in there, it is few and far between. You have to wait. It's like waiting for a bus. You know, not that I've ever really taken public transportation outside of, well, not a bus. That's scary. But it's like waiting for a bus. You're just waiting for that thing to show up. And when it shows up and you'll be there. But that wait in between, not fun. Not fun at all. And that's the main problem with this. And if you could have taken out some of the stuff that like they, I guess, thought was like super character-y, whatever, cut half of it. Seriously, you could cut 30 minutes out of this, and this might kick along at a much easier pace. And I think you can get across the same information in the exact same amount of time. I think that you just, I don't know, they're just trying to make too much of a drama out of it. And again, I think that probably comes down to just budget and time and stuff. If they had bigger budgets and stuff, they could destroy those cities, but they don't have that money. So I guess the same thing goes here. It's like instead of having 2 more action scenes, we'll have Sister in the Netherworld space here talking back to you as if you were wearing the helmet or something like that. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. Yeah. But for me, I'm Damian Wayne is too. Like it's right there in the middle. There's some fun stuff. Like I said, when I saw the quick couple of seconds of this of a guy wearing a bug costume riding a motorcycle that had all these jets and stuff coming out of it, I was like, bro, this is H&P material all the way. And it still is to a degree. It's just it happens to be one of those things where it just doesn't hit the ball out of the park all the time. And that's bound to happen.
Didn't keep the pace up, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and bail. I keep getting called here. Sorry about that.
All right, so next week we're gonna be checking out Blue Beetle in theaters, everybody. So keep an eye out for that. Until next week, for the absent Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the Internet Burst. Let's see, I'm Adam Porches. Stay super, everybody. Goodbye, Marty and Evie.